What is up, guys? Welcome back to my YouTube channel, The Leaky Mind with Jen B, where I talk about mental wellness, I talk about well being, healing journeys, all those good stuff. So, if that's something that interests you, consider clicking the subscribe button. So, if you are chronically online like I am sure that you have seen the propaganda I am not falling for trend. It has been all over my For You page, it's been on my Instagram reels. So I wanted to make a video about propaganda that I am not falling for, but Healing Girl Edition. So I'm going to be talking about four things that I am definitely not falling for, especially at this point of my life. And one of them may be a little bit controversial, but we'll get to that one. So, number one, propaganda that I am not falling for is waiting for the right time to do something. So, in one of my other videos, I have definitely talked about how perfectionism can literally kill all your goals and it can hold you back from doing all of the things that you want to do. Trying to wait for the perfect time, you would never actually do anything because if you keep waiting and waiting, life is just going to pass you by. The next thing you know, you're getting older, you're still waiting, and you haven't actually done the things that you've been wanting to do for so long. So, waiting for the right time can show up in many different ways depending on the type of person that you are. So, for me, I would put things off if I didn't get a sign that it was the right thing to do. So, for example, I will talk myself out of doing things because it wasn't the perfect time. So, I would wait until I saw a sign from God or I saw some kind of confirmation to do it. And then if it didn't come when I wanted it to come or it didn't come in the way that I expected it to come, then I would just let it go.
Maybe I'm the problem. No.
Having perfectionist tendencies have definitely stopped me from having a human experience. And what I mean by that is because I was so nervous about making a mistake or looking stupid or doing something that was wrong and that wouldn't benefit me in the end, I ended up denying myself a lot of experiences. And these things, like things that are mistakes, these are all just things that are part of being a person. Not everything is going to be perfect. Not everything is going to work out in the end, but you learn from these things. For some people, they set extremely high standards for themselves to the point where it's practically unattainable. Problem with setting such high standards is that you can fall into all or nothing thinking. So what that looks like for some people is, well, I started this new diet, but I'm craving this ice cream. You end up eating the entire pint of ice cream and you're like, well, my diet is ruined, so I might not even continue. Waiting for the right time will always stop you in your tracks. So no longer doing that. That is not propaganda that I'm falling for. It's not propaganda that you're falling for. We are going to do the things that we've said that we're going to do starting today. So, whether that's starting your business, whether that's starting your own YouTube channel, whether that's trying to go out for a new job, we are starting that today. Now, I'm not saying don't plan ahead or make smart financial decisions, definitely take your time to plan these things out and have backup plans. However, we are not waiting for everything right to fall in place. Just start and go ahead, and you'll never know where you can end up. Propaganda number two that I am not falling for is you are behind in life if you are not married by 30 years old. If there is one thing society will do, it is make you insecure about something to either one, make you rush and go and buy a product that you definitely do not need, or number two, it's making you rush into a situation that you don't need to be in. So, what I mean by that is there is definitely a stigma. particularly against women, that if you are not married by the age of 30, then there is something that is wrong with you. The marriage timeline is a big pressure. And it comes from like cultural practices, religious expectations, family expectations, and it seems to only be placed onto women because for whatever reason, women are the ones that have this arbitrary like expiration date, which is absolutely not true. Do not believe the hype. Well, because of these really strong expectations coming from so many different places, many of us feel like we need to rush and get married so that people aren't looking at us like we're failures. I too have fallen down like the mental spiral of panicking and thinking, oh my goodness, I'm in my 30s now, I don't have any prospects, insights. What if it's too late for me? What if it never happens? The reality is that everyone's timeline is going to look differently. Yes, there are some people that are going to have their husband or wife, two and a half kids by the time that they're 25. And then for some people, that happens a little bit later in life. And nothing is wrong with either one of those things. The question that I want to ask is if you are desiring the husband or you are desiring a wife and the white picket fence and the 2.5 kids, but it doesn't happen when you want it to, what are you going to do in the meantime? So one thing that I really had to do was to sit and think about what does my life look like without those things? What do I want my life to look like without those things? And this kind of goes back to point number one that propaganda that I'm not falling for was waiting for the right time to do things. So if I don't have the marriage by 35 or I don't have the 2.5 kids at 38 or whatever age, then what does my life look like without those things? What do I want my life to look like? Am I just going to sit around waiting for things to happen, or am I going to go out and live life and have life abundantly? I feel like these romance movies and these animated movies that shows us the Prince Charming coming to sweep the princess off her feet has really given a lot of us such unrealistic expectations. However, I had to really get real with myself and understand that real life does not work that way at all. One thing that I really do not want for sure is to be tied down to the wrong person because I felt pressured and I felt rushed. And I think that being tied to the wrong person or being married to the wrong person is a far worse fate than being unmarried by a certain age. It may sound silly, but peer pressure is real. And a lot of people will rush into situations because they don't want to look like the odd person out in their family or their friend group. And quite frankly, people will date people that they have no business being with because they don't want to look stupid. But I am here to tell you that no, 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 no. You are not late. You are not expired. You are not cast aside or thrown away because you do not have these arbitrary experiences or arbitrary expectations at a certain age. We are stopping that belief today. I also want to acknowledge the pain that comes with wanting or expecting a marriage or a family by a certain age and not having it when you thought you would. Especially if you're someone who grew up in church as a young girl, you're kind of fed this idea that if you're good and you serve the Lord and you do all things that are right, then you will be rewarded with your Boaz. And a lot of us are coming to the realization that that's not necessarily the case because let's be real here, marriage is not promised to everyone. And I do want to acknowledge like the hurt that can come with that because you may feel like, oh, I feel like I've done everything right. Why am I not having this desire to be a wife or to be a husband fulfilled? Propaganda number three that I am not falling for is hustle culture. Now, I am a type B person all the way through. I do what's required of me and that's it. I know a lot of people are different. Some people they enjoy working, they enjoy, putting in the extra miles. If that is you, then all kudos to you. But the whole sleep when you're unalived is so crazy to me. Capitalism has really done a number on us because why are we celebrating overworking ourselves? Why are we attributing productivity to self-worth? Like, what are we doing? When I worked in a school, there were times where I took the summers off. I would have 2 months to just do absolutely nothing. And people would ask me, like, what are you gonna do over the summer? I can't imagine myself not working. My answer would be absolutely nothing. I am doing nothing for 2 months because what other job can you take a 2 month break just to relax? The way it works in my mind is that I have at least another 40 years left to work, and taking a summer off here and there is not contributing harm to anybody. I really think that as a society, we have been conditioned to think that taking a break means that you're lazy. If we really want to try to improve the mental health of people in this society, we should be encouraging people to take a break. Chasing after money is not everything. Now, don't get me wrong, money will solve a lot of people's problems, but what good is having all of that money if you're not able to enjoy it because your battery is on E all the time? You're not less of a person for taking a break, and you don't need a good reason for taking a step back. So, again, this is not a slight on anyone who feels like hustle culture is for them. If that's what you want to do with your life, by all means. However, I do want to encourage people that if you need to take a break, take a break. Your mental health is so important. And if your mental health is not good, your physical health can also not be good either. So, my fourth and final propaganda that I am not falling for is true crime is not entertainment.
Why you booing me? I'm right.
Okay, so don't get mad. Hold on, just hear me out, okay? Don't click off the video. So I am someone who used to consume true crime media. So on Saturdays, I would turn on Investigation Discovery Channel and I would sit for hours watching show after show about different crimes, about people being unalived. I would sit and watch these shows for hours, hours on end. And I wouldn't think anything of it. I was just like, you know what? I'm interested in getting into the minds of people who do these type of things because for me that's something that I can never fathom doing. So I want to see like into the minds of a killer or whatever it is I was trying to justify. So for me, I would justify sitting there watching these shows for hours because I would think, oh, I want to see what's going on in the mind of these people because for me, like I can't fathom doing something so heinous. But now when I look back at it, like what was I really learning from watching these shows? If I'm being really honest, all it did was make me very anxious and paranoid. In the US, men are far likelier to be homicide victims than women, But listening to true crimes, to podcasts and YouTube channels, you would never actually suspect this. Most of the audience and the hosts themselves are female, and most of the cases that are covered tend to be about women. I read an op-ed by a writer named Emma Berquist, and I'm going to read a little blurb from her article. So she says that true crime runs on heightened emotion and fear, convincing people, and especially women, that every stranger is a possible murderer. I see women on Twitter questioning whether it's safe to let a plumber into their house, or instructing others to rip out strands of their hair, to leave in cabs for DNA evidence in case the driver murders you. These are not sensible reactions. These are the thoughts of someone who has been deeply traumatized. Now, in my opinion, she is correct. At some point, we do have to ask ourselves, is it ethical to consume the violent, often sensationalized details about someone's death as entertainment? I don't really think so. Now, I am not here to shame anyone. If you choose to watch true crime media, I know that there are some podcasts that make a lot of effort to be very respectful about these cases and the cases of their and the victims' family members. So, if you're someone that enjoys true crime podcasts, then I am not here to shame you. I was deep into that content as well. But for me, I did have to check myself. Watching cruelty and tragedy unfold, I do feel like it does do something internally to your spirit. Now when I see things like that, it is deeply unsettling to me because I mean these were people. These were people that had lives, they had families, they had people that care about them, and hearing about the grisly details of their death is just very uncomfortable now, and that's not something that I want nestled in my spirit. So, just a little something to think about next time you turn on a true crime podcast. Just have that rolling in the back of your head. Okay, guys, that was all for this video. That is all the propaganda that we are now falling for going forward. If there is something that you agree or disagree with, let me know down in the comments. I will love to hear from you. Until next time, bye.